Welcome to Living a Fulfilled Life, Body, Soul, and Spirit. Today we're going to talk about our soul. The soul is made up of our mind, will, and emotions. In our mind, of course, is where we have our intellect. We receive things through our ears by what we hear. We receive things through our eyes by what we see. We receive things by touch, what we may feel. But we each, as an individual, receive these things, but we don't all perceive things the same. And our mind is both subconscious and conscious. So most of the time when we're thinking off the top of our head, as they say, it's our conscious mind. But actually, there is only 5% of our mind is the conscious mind. All the rest is the subconscious. And that's where all those beliefs, perceptions get rooted in our subconscious. As we talk about our will, we're talking about mind, will, and emotions. Our will is the part of us that has the ability of making choices. We can do things because our will drives us to do it, or we can do nothing because we have no will to do it. So we're going to talk a little bit about getting our will in alignment with our thinking and have our thinking be in alignment with what is the best for us. Okay, we'll talk about emotions. Our emotions are our feelings or our response to what we see, what we hear. Emotions can be up and down, and everybody has a range of emotions. But the fulfilled life is when we are able to harness those emotions and not have so many highs and lows, and just kind of be just be on an even keel. And for that, we have to have all the mind, will, and emotions working together. And that's what they do. It's like a circle. It's like our mind perceives something, and our will says, I'm not going to do this, and our response is, so we're gonna talk a little bit about that. Our emotions, they could be subjective emotions, which are our own personal experience. How we perceive things. Are we happy? Are we sad? Then there's the physiological response to our emotions, and that's when your body responds to what you are seeing or hearing or feeling. Like your heart may beat really fast, or your muscles tense up. Those are your emotions reacting in your physiological body. And then, of course, there's the behavioral response, the way we react to our emotions. When we're happy, we may be laughing. When we're sad, we may be crying. When we're afraid, we may be screaming. So our emotions are a really big part of us. It's not just how I am thinking. Our emotions are led by a lot of different things. And I think at this point we're going to kind of go into some self-reflection. And I'm just going to ask you to stop and quiet yourself a little bit and think, am I happy with the thoughts that go through my head? Am I happy with the drive that I have? And am I happy with the way I react with my emotions? And I can say I'm still working on it, but there was a time where I just allowed my emotions to take over. I figured, if I feel sad, I might as well just be sad and unfortunately make everybody else around me sad. And that's one thing about why we want to be positive in our life. Not just for us, but we're talking about us today, but everybody around us. The way that we respond to situations, that's going to affect the people around us. So as we take time and kind of even think about our subconscious thoughts and think about, why do I think that way? Why is my perspective so different from other people's, depending on if it's a good or bad perspective? And then, of course, trauma and things in our past can affect the way we think. But you know what? We can change. We can change that thinking. It's a process. I don't know if you've heard of Dr. Carolyn Leaf. She talks about making new neural pathways in our brain by thinking, by changing our thoughts. Trauma oftentimes will disconnect the pathways that are the good ones, and it'll create new links in our brain, and we just don't think right. And we may do things we don't even realize we're doing. I have an example of there was a person I knew, went to church with us, and every time he would come to say hello to our family, him and his wife and his family, would come say hello, I just couldn't shake his hand. It wasn't nothing against him. It's just one day I was, like shaking his, hugging his wife. Actually, I hugged his wife, and I went to shake his hand, and I just withdrew my hand. And that was that. And that really made me think, no, why do I react that way with him? And it ends up, don't mind my dog, she's trying to teach too. It ends up that as I was reflecting, this gentleman looked just like an uncle who had molested me when I was younger. And subconsciously, remember, 95% of our thoughts are subconscious. Subconsciously, I was thinking, I don't want anything to do with this guy. He's just like my uncle. But that wasn't true. And I did get together with the family and we talked about it, and everything was fine. But see, I could have allowed that to just keep on happening, but and missed a friendship with a family. But I was able to take some quiet time, reflect, and I discovered what the problem was. And so I was able to change my thinking in that way. So, as I said, Dr. Leaf, I forget what they call. She has a amazing degree. She's written a lot of books and that. But she has, she does teach people that we can retrain our mind. And you've heard it said our past doesn't dictate our future. And that is absolutely correct if we stand up and decide we're ready to make a change in our life. So how do you make that change? Well, let's get a little vision first of what you want in your life. How would you like to present yourself to others? Just stop and think. If I could do anything in the world, anything I wanted to do, what would it be? You might want to stop the video right now and think about that. What would you like to do? How would you like to present yourself? What kind of people would you like to be around? Think about it. Okay, if you turned off your video and thought about that, what kind of things have you thought about? You know what? That's your vision. The vision of what you want to be, who you want to be. That's your vision. But you know, a vision doesn't come into being just because you have that vision. It comes into being step by step. So that's why we create goals. So, as far as our thinking, like maybe every time you think that you're upset with somebody and you don't want anything to do with them, and you just really don't care what's going on with them, stop and think about that person and think different thoughts. Like you may not want to be around that person, but there is a plan for that person's life, and we need to pray and wish them the best. And we'll talk about some of that in our spiritual growth. But talking about our mind, our vision, and our goals need to be realistic. They need to be something that we know we can do. And put a little time limit on your goals. It'll take time. Maybe your goal is to wake up every morning and think about something you're grateful for. Maybe think about 2 things you're grateful for every morning for 1 week. You think you could do that? For 7 days? Wake up and just tell yourself you're so thankful for this or that, for this person or that person, thankful for your home. I'm thankful for heat in my home because it's cold outside. But I'm also thankful when I wake up every morning because it's a new day and a new start. And that's something we have to remember too when we're working on our mind, will, and emotions. Every day's new. We can start every day anew. Maybe yesterday you yelled at your husband. Well, today's a new day. You can stand up and be nice. I was going to say sweet, but some husbands don't go for sweet. But you could be nice. The mindset is so important. It is a combination of our beliefs, our perspectives. And some of you, I wanted to have a picture, and I apologize, I don't have it. Maybe I'll be able to put it at the bottom of this course. But some of you have seen the picture of you can look at it, and some people see a beautiful silhouette of a beautiful woman, and then others see a haggard old lady. It's the same picture, but the perspective is different depending on who's looking at it. So we need to work on our mindset, because that is going to determine our perspective, and our perspective will determine our decisions. And then, of course, our decisions will determine our actions. So our mind will begin to think positively. Our will begin to go forward and reach for bigger and better every day. And our emotions will begin to get in check. And we won't have so many highs and lows. Let's see. It says there's 2 types of mindsets, and you probably know this. There's the fixed mindset. That's the person that doesn't think anything can change. They're like, I know what I know right now, and nothing will ever change. I'm going to die this way. And then there's the growth mindset. There's those who are curious about what's out there for me. What could I do maybe to help others? What could I do to help myself? What could I do? We could even go to the point of, who can I reach around the world with hope? Just like I'm hoping to do or planning to do. That's my goal and my vision, is to reach and let people know that there's hope. We don't have to live in a mindset that thinks negative about everything, because that affects our whole body. When we're thinking negative, it affects our heart. It affects every part of us. So what mindset do you want? Do you want that fixed mindset where you wake up every day just hating the day and maybe even hating yourself? Or are you ready for the growth mindset where you're going to move out of that place that you are? You're going to begin to think those positive thoughts. You're going to begin to speak positive words about yourself instead of saying, oh, I'm so stupid. I'm created with a good mind and I am able to learn and I will learn. Talk to yourself sometimes. And we'll go into that more. We'll go into a little more about self-reflection and positive growth. But right now, I think I'm going to end this video because some of you maybe didn't take time to stop it previously. And I want you to take time to stop and reflect on why you think what you think, why you do what you do, and how you want to change that. See you next time.